Testing 1, 2.
I'm gonna sit here behind you.
Mr. Millhouse, good to see you, sir. You and Sharon. Glad to see you all out. You ready, Amy? We open the meeting tonight with Parks and Recreation Committee.
All right, Parks and Recreation Committee to order, and I will turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Good evening, Mayor, council members. The first item on the agenda, I just wanted to give you all a quick update on the Saul Alexander Playground. We have installed all the major playground equipment. Currently, the Somerville Miracle League is now overseeing the installation of the drainage and sidewalks, and we're still hoping for a fall opening date for that project. The second item on the agenda is I just wanted, it's our first summer really doing summer camp, so I felt it was worthy enough to bring and share that results with you guys. We had everything from magic camp to forensics camp to wrestling and drama. For this summer, we held 31 camps and had 536 campers for the summer. And I'm hoping next summer to add some more as well. The third item on the agenda is discussion of changes as it relates to the concealed weapon laws and as it relates to Parks and Recreation. There are two areas that I was hoping to get some guidance from you guys on. The first being special event permits. So the new law does allow for us or for municipalities to prohibit open carry on public property during a protest, parade, or rally if a permit is issued. And I just wanted to get some direction from you guys as your thoughts to that.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Amy and I talked about it, and we agreed that the signs may clutter some of our parks and all. But in talking with Chief Wright, having the open carry causes problems with dispatchers, which enforcement. And so my recommendation would be that we just have no open carry on any town property. And he thinks that would help the police department.
I concur with what Bob has just said. I think we got a beautiful town, and I think certainly people have a lot of gun rights now, but I think that we need to protect what we have got. And also, we've got a great law enforcement division, but we need to protect them also. I think it imposes extra problems for our police department. So where we can within state law, I think we need to ban these type of open carry weapons in our parks.
Is that a motion? Are you gonna make a motion?
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we recommend this to council with the based on what was presented to us by the Parks and Recreation Director.
I'll second.
And Amy, I want to say I agree with you. These signs are not going to look good, but we got to protect everybody. Do I hear a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moves forward.
That's everything that I have, Mr. Jackson, unless you guys.
No, The only thing I thought of was the logo, but you can send that out in the email. Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Call to order the regular meeting of the Planning and Development Committee. First item on the agenda, Ms. Schuler.
Yes, sir. The first item on the agenda is petition by Michael Lawrence Knotts and Laura McCurry Knotts to annex Dorchester County TMS number 13607010002, located at 100 West Butternut Road and totaling approximately 0.85 acres, currently zoned CN Neighborhood Commercial in Dorchester County, and will be zoned, the original request was for GB General Business, but they, in the Planning Commission meeting, requested to change that to NB Neighborhood Business. So it would be NB Neighborhood Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval with the zoning of NB Neighborhood Business at their meeting on July 19th, 2021.
So just so I understand, the petitioners themselves ask for the change to NB?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Any questions for Ms. Schuler or a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move it to council for approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Second item on the agenda is petition by the Rosemary Family Limited Partnership to annex Berkeley County TMS numbers 221-0000005, 200-201, 202, and 220-00002-019, approximately 100.23 acres total, currently zoned PD-OP/IP Planned Development District, Office or Industrial Park in Berkeley County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This will be in Council District 2. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on July 19th, 2021.
Mr. Chairman, I see that Chris is here. If we've got any questions for him, I did have an opportunity to meet with him last week. This item and the next item, in looking at it, I think is a great use of that property. It's very upmarket of what will be coming in, and gives us contiguousness to the further property that goes towards I-26, what we refer to as the dust-off property, if we want to bring any of that in under the same type of zoning. So for us, I think it's a great move for the property out there, so I'm certainly in favor of it.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Schuler or a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move it to council for approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Third item on the agenda is the request to rezone TMS numbers 13000000008 and 13000000050, located on North Maple Street, approximately 20.91 acres, and owned by CVEA Somerville One LLC, from NMX Neighborhood Mixed Use to GB General Business. This is in Council District 1. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on July 19th, 2021.
Is this parcel contiguous or related to what we took up in item B?
It is not contiguous, but it is related in that it would be the same owner, who is working with if you look at the map that's on the screen now, the kind of olive green, or I'm not sure what color green that is, that's in between the two reds.
Right.
Not the really light green, but the other one. they are working with that property owner. So it should be a cohesive plan total for that whole strip.
Is the
from-
same entity purchasing B, C, D, and E?
Um,
Or is D and E?
yes,
Okay.
yes, that is correct.
Okay. Any further questions from Ms. Schuler or a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move it to council for approval.
Second?
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Petition by Thomas A. Limehouse and Robert L. Arrington to annex Berkeley County TMS number 221-0000007, approximately 2.926 acres located at 1321 Beagle Road, currently zoned HI Heavy Industrial in Berkeley County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This would be in Council District 2. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on May 18th, 2020. The applicant requested that the item be held until the properties owned by Rosemary Family Limited Partnership proceeded with annexation.
Any questions for Ms. Schuler? A motion?
I'll make a motion, we move it forward with a recommendation for approval.
Second?
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
And the final item on the agenda is petition by JSCA Investments LLC to annex Berkeley County TMS number 221-0000006, approximately 7.36 acres located on Beagle Road, currently zoned HI Heavy Industrial in Berkeley County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This would also be in Council District 2. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on May 18th, 2020. The applicant requested that the item be held until the properties owned by Rosemary Family Limited Partnership proceeded with annexation.
Any questions for Ms. Schuler? If not, a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move it to full council for recommendation for approval.
Second?
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Now we have the Public Safety Committee. We're going to have Chief Doug Wright come up and explain to us this video that they're working on. I thought it'd be a good idea if council saw this prior to it being disseminated to the public.
Mr. Councilman, with all due respect, I'd ask that we move this further into the agenda. Unfortunately, they're having a IT glitch right now with the video, and they're trying to get it sent to Beth and Dropbox. So if we could possibly move it further to the agenda, I'd appreciate that, with all due respect.
No problem. I'll go along with that.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and start the Public Works Committee meeting then.
Good evening. Item A is a carryover from last month where we talked about stormwater calculations for outdoor recreation, specifically a golf course. I did some research in other municipalities and counties and really could not find anywhere where golf courses or outdoor recreation was addressed in any of the ordinances. So I met with Councilman McIntosh last week, and recommended we create one and maybe basically just charge golf courses or outdoor recreation areas that are open to the public for use half the rate as a non-residential commercial. That kind of addresses what we're getting at from last month. It gives those property owners a little break. And Councilman McIntosh has drafted some language in the ordinance that will have to go before council anyway for first reading to adjust the rate that was done in the budget this year. So we'll be making both these changes if the committee sees fit.
I would just say, I think that the language that I have drafted would not be restricted only to golf courses. It would be any parcels 5 acres or more, whose primary use was for outdoor recreation by the public. It can't be a private only use. It's got to be open to the public. that would, it would apply to one golf course that's in the town and a portion of another golf course that's in the town. But I think Russ and I identified at least one other parcel, much larger parcel actually, that this would apply to, and that would be once the county's park at Pine Trace comes online. If during the Oak Brook TIF development, if the county were to bring the soccer fields, or if the YMCA were to come into town, it would apply to that as well. And the idea is that even though these parcels do have permeable or impermeable surfaces, particularly with the instance of the golf courses, the main impermeable surface that's caused their stormwater bills to dramatically increase as a result of our 2018 ordinance amendments are the cart paths. And I just personally don't believe that the cart paths are causing stormwater runoff off of the property, off of the parcel itself. So, that's why I wanted it to be at least 5 acres. The idea is that the stormwater doesn't leave the property.
Do we know yet how much this would change the fees for stormwater?
So Pine Forest's annual fee is a little over $7,000. We just cut that in half, about $3,500, $3,600.
Which would still be more than what they were paying before the 2018 ordinance. It just wouldn't be 3 times what they were paying before the 2018.
Well, I think I understand what you're talking about, but we all know that when you drive down the highway, you see these big trucks and they've got signs on them, so they pay more taxes than cars. And the reason they do, because they destroy the roads more than cars. So I think it's equitable to require those who are contributing more to stormwater problems pay a higher fee than those who are contributing less. I think some of the problems we have gotten into in stormwater here in the town and during my tenure, it's been because we have failed to do that. We have failed to say the big boys are taxing our stormwater department more than the individual homes. So we've got a situation now on the agenda that'll be coming up in a minute, and which has become the face of Somerville as far as what people think is bad about Somerville. It's having to do with stormwater and people getting flooded out of their homes. And I think we need to think in terms of what we're going to do in the future. There's some things we're working on. I see one thing on the agenda that I think that has a cure for this, but this has become a problem for us, and I think we need to think in those terms going forward in the future.
Any more questions on this item?
Do we need to make a motion, send this to council, or?
It's already going to be on the agenda for Monday or Thursday night. So
And that's just one of there are other amendments to the ordinance as well.
the only other amendment is changing the ERU from $4 to $8, and then this language will be there. All right, item B is discussion of CDBG funding for the US 78 flooding mitigation. I talked to PJ about this, and it sounds like CDBG funding really isn't eligible to address this problem, primarily because it can only be used in a residential setting, and this is a commercial setting. So that's how I understand it. If PJ is here, if you have more questions on this.
I just had a thought the other day when he flooded. That floods what, about 2-3 feet to get into the building?
Right.
Can a dike be put up around it?
Well, the problem is we did address that, but putting a dike up is going to block water on the other side of the dike too. We're not allowing it to get into the pipe where it's supposed to go. The only real solution is to keep the building there, is just elevate the entire site, elevate the entire building. questions on CDBG funding?
Well, I don't really have a question. I know the community development block grant money was designed for a particular purpose to deal with certain areas of town that were underfunded. Um, I do have some concerns about where in town the money is spent. I know we've got problems with flooding a number of places in the town. And I know you're trying to be equitable in distribution of this money to handle these problems. But we have done a number of things to cure flooding issues since I came into town. I think we've been pretty successful in some areas, and there's some areas where we still have got a lot of work to do. And that's all I'll say on that.
Yes, sir. Right now, we've got 3 active flooding mitigation projects ongoing in different stages of development. We got more, some we've completed that have been overall successful, and we've got some we're tackling in the future that will just takes time and get these things underway and get them funded, doing the best we can do with our resources. One other thing, I guess going to item C is kind of related to item B. Um, is this stormwater special protection area. This is one of the recommendations that came out of the report for the US 78 Mr. Sign flood study that identified an 89-acre basin basically along North Main Street all the way over to Magnolia, North Magnolia Street, and north of 9th Street down to 78. Most of those properties in that area were built back in the 60s, 70s, early 80s, were developed back then for the requirement to install stormwater ponds. If you look at the aerial, I can show you if you want to see it. Most of that area is just paved buildings and parking lots. Is why we're dealing with what we're dealing with there. One of the recommendations came out was to identify this area as a special protection area where when these properties are redeveloped over time, their stormwater requirements will be more stringent than areas in the other parts of town. Right now, not to get too technical, but when somebody develops a piece of property, they're supposed to model how much water is going to run off before it's developed, and then they develop it, and it's supposed to model how much water is going to run off after it's developed, after it's paved. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more. And they're supposed to put these ponds in to catch this water and control the flow. So the flow is not supposed to, the post-development flow is not to exceed the pre-development flow by having the pond. What one of the major thing this does is basically making that post-development flow half of the pre-development flow. It just holds more water back. It does require larger ponds or larger underground detention areas, but it is helping the problem by managing how much water goes downstream and floods these properties. So I think I included the language in the package. We are going to implement this in the stormwater design manual for this area. So when people come in to redevelop these properties, that'll be their requirement going forward. Any questions, comments? So I'm telling you this because when someone does come and they have to do more than what they think they were going to do, and they'll give you a call about it, and so you know this is the reason why. We like to do this in the US 78 basin as well as the Germantown area where we recently are doing work now to help not exacerbate that problem anymore. That area has experienced a lot of development in the last 20 years, which is why we're dealing with the problems we're dealing with in that part of town as well.
At some point, do you see needing a vote of council to declare a certain area a special protection area?
You're not required to by ordinance. The ordinance language states that staff can implement this in the stormwater design manual, which is the technical side of the stormwater requirements. But if council doesn't wish this to be implemented, then obviously we can go that route too. But just letting you know what our intentions are, unless there's a,
You don't need our permission,
yes, sir.
but we can stop you. But we can, all right, fair enough.
I just might say that we didn't get this till late. So I hadn't had a chance to look at it at all. So I would say before we implement, how about give us at least a chance to read it?
Sure.
So we start enforcing it, we should say. So we can get questions answered so we understand them.
Okay.
Thanks.
There are 2 properties along Main Street that are probably soon to be coming forward with plans. So glad to get these implemented as quick as we can. So we'll do this. Any questions, give me a call, come see me. I'll have it explained to you. Item D, we don't need that. But item D, drainage, Waring Street drainage improvements. I think Mr. Brown asked this to be on the agenda. I met with Ryan Dews, our stormwater manager, last week and kind of developed a plan to help give some immediate relief to the area of Waring Street off Simmons Avenue. Right now, the system that's there is undersized and it's just badly designed. And what we're going to do is there's 5 inlets along Waring Street. We're going to convert those from the grate style to the Type 9 style to allow water to get into the pipes easier without getting clogged with leaves and debris. We're also going to install 2 pipes under Waring Street to get the water flowing on both sides of the road instead of just one side. And where Waring Street and Simmons Avenue meet, the pipe, so just visualize a pipe underground going down Simmons Avenue in this direction of flow, and a pipe coming down Waring Street in this direction of flow at an acute angle. What that's doing is creating a lot of turbulence at that point, causing a lot of energy loss, now not allowing flow. So we're going to turn that pipe at another angle to allow flow to go in the same general direction. I think the new box tops, the new cross line pipes under Waring Street, and that new angled pipe will help give some short-term relief to that little area of Simmons and Waring Street. Long-term solution, part of the Germantown study, was a three-pronged solution. One is done, the Peter Street project is done, the pond is underway or halfway done. Other component was to carry a large trunk line down Waring Street from near Simmons all the way to near Carolina, the Tyndall Canal there, and that will be worked. The design is being worked on that right now. We hope to have those plans ready to go later this year and hopefully bid that for construction next year, 2022.
Mr. Chairperson, let me ask you a couple of questions. I've explained this to the Millhouse family, who's here as best I can, and some of the other residents also. And when Ryan came out, he outlined exactly what you're saying as to what needed to be done. And one of the things, the first thing we did was he said the Waring Street needed to be cleaned of all the debris and underbrush, brush and that sort of thing, so the water could flow. And while doing that, when Mark Campbell, the crew, came out to do that, they found that there was 2 clogged drains that nobody even knew were there. So that's one of the reasons the water wasn't flowing the way it should. But anyway, that's temporary. But the main thing that I want to know, and I think the Millhouse family wants to know, and the other concerned residents, is the time frame. When will these things take place? Because these people have been suffering a long time, and this problem has become, the face of Somerville on social issue, and I think we need to resolve this as quickly as possible. So when we talk about changing out the small pipes and putting in bigger pipes and all that kind of stuff, when will this take place?
the immediate solution, the first items I talked about will start later this month, end of this month, in about 2 to 3 weeks. And they'll take that crew about a week or so to do that work. The long-term trunk line down Waring Street towards Carolina, that's gonna not occur until next year. That's a much larger project and much more complicated to do.
Well, I know Ryan told me he's doing some work in another big project in Corey Woods, but when we say next year, are we talking January, February, March, or April?
Hopefully first quarter of next year. Yes, sir.
First quarter.
2022.
Mr. Chairperson, is there any, can we have a comment from the Millhouse family since they're here? Can-
Yes, that would be fine.
Mr. Millhouse, would you like to speak? Or your daughter, Sharon?
What I'd like to say is, the town engineer, Councilman Brown, Stormwater, they did come, and we have more problems this time than ever. That's not the problem. The problem is the field. I sent cameras, I sent film to you. Like you see, it's a massive amount of fluid from the water and dirt come out of that field. They come through like a river. We do know about the drains. My son and daughter, they continuously, for years, clean those drains out. The town cleaned it out last week. My son was out there this week cleaning it again. If we can control that water, I talked to the owner. I'm getting different things. There was supposed to be a pond next to my son. Now I understand that the pond is going to be farther down toward Classic, what Midwestern Field. I understand the purpose now is, the whole up is something about a tree, a live tree. And my question is, if the water is coming out at our property, why put the drain, or put the retainer there, where it's coming out to help slow the water there. I'm also in our backyard. We have water flowing in our backyard. I asked about a retainer there. I was told that they didn't plan to do that. Water coming through my backyard like a river. Sometimes it goes into my son's yard. It goes up under my house. It cost me almost $40,000 a few years ago. I had the town engineer, stormwater come in my house this week, and I showed them how much my flow is going down. My foundation is going down because of the water, excessive water. It's not just the water, rainwater, it's coming out of that field. And we have to have a better way of containing it. And where they plan to run it, as the owner told me, he's going to run it down Simmons. Those pipes are outdated. I had those pipes put there myself back in the 80s. And the amount of water that comes out of those pipes, there's no way it's going to contain it. When those pipes were put there was 4 houses on my street. My dad built that street from a wagon trail to what it is now to our property. And it was not built to put 29 more houses with all excess water and runoff to go on our street. When it gets to Waring, it backs up. When it comes from the field of Germantown Road, it backs up. Where does it go? It goes under my property. Who suffers? We do. I don't have money to be repairing flows at my age. I'm 80 years old. I'm probably the oldest one in here. We've been there since the 1800s, 1880 something. We just started having this problem since the property was elevated. We did have water coming out of the field at one time, but now it's elevated probably 2 feet. And so they are we know where the water's gonna go. So I ask for help there, containing the water runoff. That's my problem. And I thank you for giving me time to talk.
Thank you.
I want to apologize how I ran on Facebook, but I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't make the money my daddy has. I don't even make $40,000. So if something happened to him, I don't have no place to go if y'all don't fix this drain system. My brother, replaced his floors during COVID in 2020. Water be coming up to his step. We're outside, which is at my job. I can catch meningitis or whatever out there clearing those drains and lightning just to keep the water from coming up under our house. I walked in my bedroom the other night, just had hardwood floors put down a couple of years ago. I feel a little dent going on in my bedroom floor. A police officer, I don't remember her name, she got out of her car and helped us a couple of years ago. It's just me and my brother. It's like we don't have no help. I called the police department to ask them to put cones out to the corner to stop the vehicles and the big trucks from coming down our street real fast. It just pushes the water further up under our house. We just need some help. I mean, if it was one of y'all houses, I'm quite sure it would have been done. I know Millhouse is not a rich name in Somerville, but that's our property. We love our property and we don't plan on going anywhere. So we just asking for some help, and we know we're not the only ones in Somerville that having this flooding problem. All of the Somerville is, but a lot of the black communities, it seems, is going unsolved. It's like y'all putting the black communities, and I'm not a racist person, and Chief Mayor Rayon can tell you that. It just seems like y'all concerned about the country clubs and the recreation for kids to play with, but not homeowners' homes. And I don't have any kids, but I have some grandnieces and stuff would like to enjoy being raised up on our property. So we just asking for help, and thank you, Mr. Brown and Stonewater. And I think the chief of police brought some cones for us finally to put out there for me getting out there, directing traffic, stopping the cars from coming out there. So any help we can get, we just hope that y'all can help. Just make like that's y'all house. You live there, and that's your house getting flooded out. And maybe you might have a little bit more sympathy. Or the next time we have a hard rain, come see for yourself. Because I'm going to be ranting on social media. I mean, I'm taking this as far as I can go. I don't want to sue the town because I used to work for the town. I'm a county employee. I love what I do, and I love what y'all do, and I respect it. But that's our house. That's our home that's getting flooded out. We're not rich to keep getting the house jacked up to replace floors. So thank you very much.
I like to thank Jill also. No matter what time you call her, she's always there trying to help us in anything what you need. Thank you. Thank you. I'll never forget you. Thank you, Tillman. Thank you, Sharon.
Any more questions on Waring Street drainage improvements? Comment? Item E is a request from potential property owner of 36 Cleveland Street for an egress easement across town-owned property. End of Northampton, if you look at the exhibit there, the end of Northampton Street, the road dead ends into property owned by the town where that regional detention pond is that serves Robin Wind. Just up from that, there's empty piece of property up to the right of the dead end of Northampton is, I guess, under contract for purchase. And right now that property is landlocked. There's no really legal access off of a public road. So the potential owners have requested the town agree to an egress easement off the end of Northampton Street to that property. It doesn't affect the town's operation. It won't be inside the fenced area where the pond is. Staff has no issue with this.
And it's where the blue lettering is, correct?
Sir?
It's where the blue lettering is?
Yes, sir.
And that would extend.
Do we need to take a vote to send that up to full council?
Yeah, I guess so. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do I have anyone to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, send it to council, recommendation for approval.
I'll second for discussion purposes.
Okay, discussion.
My question is, I mean, I understand that parcels can become landlocked, but there's also a process by which they become unlandlocked. And these, at one point, there was a predecessor in title that took away the ingress and egress, and I assume it wasn't us.
I don't know how it became landlocked. We wouldn't have taken action. We don't own the property.
Right. I don't have any real heartburn about it, but if we take this action, I think you definitely have to have a vote of full council to give away property, which is what ingress or egress easement is. I don't have a lot of heartburn about it, but we're essentially cleaning up somebody else's mess.
About what's the distance from the end of that road to what we're talking about?
End of the pavement, probably 50, 60 feet.
And are you asking that we do the work?
No,
or
we
just
would
give
not.
them the land?
We would not do the work. We would, their attorney would draft the easement document and be reviewed by council and before it's approved. And they would do the work under a permit.
Something we might want to talk about at full council is whether, I mean, easement is a property right, just as a fee simple is. Is there any reason to if we're going to help these folks, is there any reason to only give an easement?
That's all they're requesting.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have a first and a second to send it up to full council. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay.
That's all I have.
Anybody else on council, on the committee, have any questions? All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, Finance Committee, is Dan doing it? Yeah, it is, Dan. You're hiding back there, boy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Here to present our first budget report of FY22. As you will see, our revenue, we realized $194,055.55 in property taxes. Licensing permits and fees, $1,889,042.14. Courts, fines, and fees, $37,324.72. State revenues, $503,321.66, and $96,864.30 in miscellaneous revenues. For our July expenses, you'll see we've expended $4,855,596.15. You'll note that a lot of the departments, the majority of the departments, are over budget for July. That's due in large part just to July being a month with 3 pay periods. So nothing to be alarmed about at this time. That should even itself out. On the next page, you'll see a summary of our revenues. Everything's pretty much on track. You'll see we've taken in $1,198,587.93 in business license insurance. That's just the lump sum payments, the way we get paid through MASC, which is why that's such a large number there. Miscellaneous revenues, $96,864.30, and there's a breakdown of what that contains there. Once again, nothing too exciting. Impact fees for July, we've
Could you back up to the next page?
Sure.
Stay right there a second. Your July budget for special events, it's not a big deal, it was $833, and you actually got $25. So that left you a variance of minus of 803. What's this special event miscellaneous income? What is it?
That is, believe events run through our recreation department, and actually we're working with Amy to more efficiently and quickly capture the revenue that we get through credit card sales there. Right now, there's a bit of a lag in that. So we're looking at a way to just get
So
that
I mean, I
booked.
just don't ever see, remember seeing that much of a variance. There's a lot of variance in this report.
Right, and
Any ideas why?
yeah, and I think that's largely just in part to the lag in booking our credit card revenues. And we're looking at we're developing a process to close that gap and get those numbers
Okay.
to you. For impact fees, as you'll see, we've taken a $9,175.04 in residential impact fees, commercial fees, $9,262.80 there. And local hospitality tax, we have realized $494,308.46 there. And stormwater, operating revenues, only $7,132.47 realized now. That's due basically to how the counties pay us. So we'll receive that from the counties within the next few weeks for our July revenue there. And it should balance out on our expenditures, which are currently at $201,812.96 for stormwater. Anybody have any further questions or? All right, thank you very much.
Consideration of funding $125,000 for Dream Ice Skating Rink for 2021.
What did I say?
I'd like to
Voting on D.
open up this consideration discussion. We were sent today as an email about the money that came back to us, which was, I think this last year, it was right around 51% of their income. No, I'm sorry, 51% of what we gave them. Is that correct? And the first year was roughly 47%, something like that. And I'd like to make a motion to get it started with discussion, to send to full council to go ahead and approve this for this next year.
I'll second the motion. I don't believe it requires full council because it's not an ordinance, but either way, I don't mind it being on the agenda Thursday night or at a subsequent council meeting either.
And I'm not sure, Pac, when we went and had our budget and everything, I didn't even think about asking about this, where we could put this in our budget so we wouldn't have to address this issue each year. I know that this is the last year that it's going to be able to be in the place that it's been the last couple years, and that, we'd still look to see if we want to do this in the future. But it seems to me that it's been very successful. I know that our store owners this last year were very happy because with all of COVID happening, the whole town, all of them were thinking that they just weren't going to make the numbers that they normally do around the holiday time. And they said that they did. And they really think that having the ice skating rink there really contributed to that. I know that we've got some money that we need to set aside for police officers. But I just heard that there was some money that maybe we can free up in our way signage that we could put into this for next year, for this year, funding this. And I wanted to see what anybody else's thoughts were.
Let me, we got a motion on the floor and a second. Now we can continue with our discussion.
Okay, as far as taking money out of the, wayfinding signage, I've got a solid issue with that. We paid for a study and in the past, we paid for studies and they never got implemented. We just blew the money, so I think if we made up our mind to do the study and we've got the completed study, we should go ahead and follow through with that. It should be given priority. I'm not, the other concern I've got is that it's an off-budget item. And I think we ought to address everything as part of the budget.
I had a chance to speak with Mr. Doniger on this, and if I'm going to suggest that we might approach this like we did last year, and I may be off by a day or two, but last year we gave approval about this time to go forward, which allowed them to begin negotiations and contracts and all of that. But we had a date of like October the 15th, up until which we could decide to drop out and not be penalized. That date is October the 1st this year. And I think for full council to address moving forward in a similar fashion that we did last year, to give ourselves a chance to look at where in a basket of funds can we, should we, will we pull this, is a prudent way to go about it.
Yes, I agree with that, and I would definitely love for this event to go on. I back it completely, but there's some other consequences to us also. Right now, Parks and Recreation is trying to actively build 2 parks from scratch. Amy has a page and a half of things that need repair and brought up to code and those things. And 2 problems we had in looking at those lists was money, and it takes most of the staff, the outside construction type staff, work in this event for a month. So we basically shut down any improvements for Parks and Recreation for a month. And this might be a really bad time to do that with both money and labor shortages.
Well, I'll tell you, I enjoyed the skating rink. I was out there with my granddaughter, and there was a bunch of kids out there having a great time. It was a great success. But I've had some concerns gnawing at me lately on council as to the way we spend money, and sometimes we're spending money we don't have. I like what Terry just said. I think that's a good idea to look at it that way. But now, as I understand it, the money we've given them in the past, this money comes from hospitality tax money. Is that correct? And so, how much hospitality tax money have we got? How much have we got? Anybody knows?
We think the fund balance is 2.45 million.
How much?
We think the fund balance is 2.45 million. We don't have a 2020 audit though.
Yeah, we're not.
When you say fund balance, something, fund balance of
Just for
local
local hospitality and accommodations tax. And I know the first year we did that, that's where the funding came from, off budget from the hat tax fund balance. I can't remember for sure whether we did the same thing last year or not.
But anyway, of the 125,000, listening to what Terry was saying, what they did the last time, if they're able to give us 50% back, then we only funding half of that. Is that correct? But I really think it was a great program. You know, a lot of kids came out, older people, grandparents, and it was a great program. I think if we can find a way to hold their feet to the fire to do what they've got to do to make this a viable project, and we could meet them halfway, I could probably go along with that, even though the money is slender.
I don't know if Bill's numbers are correct, but I do know this, a lot of that money is allocated for by spending a lot of time with Lisa for the last 10 days. We got a tight year this year, people, I can tell you that. Way tighter than what we thought it was gonna be, I can promise you. Money is tight, we're not broke, but, we, for a while there, Dan can tell you, we thought we were. And, but anyway, things have come together pretty good. But we're probably, you know, in as poor shape financially as I've seen the town be in a long time. And that's not good to say. But we're not falling off the wagon or anything. We're gonna get some things done. We're gonna get Bob's Playgrounds built, and we're gonna get fire trucks bought and the fire station built and the things that a few weeks ago, we didn't think we were gonna get done because we didn't think the money was there. But anyway, it's there. And, but we're gonna have to be real careful and tiptoe how we spend our money for a while. And I like the skating rink, but sooner or later, we're gonna have to say no to somebody. And I don't like saying no to Steve or anybody with Dream or any other organization that comes in here asking us for money. But, you know, I can say no. I'm man enough to say it, and I'll say it. And I can't vote for this $125,000 knowing what kind of financial shape we're in. When we got projects looking us in the face, we got people that put in for raises. They said they were gonna get raises, and we don't have the money to give them raises. And we had to turn them down. Thank goodness it was just a few. And maybe when we do a budget, mid-year budget, we can come through with those raises. But that's pretty tough to look those people in the face like I did and tell them that they might get it mid-year when they were told they were gonna get it at the first of the year. And then when they see us turn around and give $125,000 to Dream, they say, well, you know, that would have given me my raise. I just think that sometimes we gotta hold off and we gotta bite the bullet and say no. Because I can tell you something, next month it'll be somebody else. And I think all of these things are great. It has nothing to do with them not being great in my heart. But sometimes you just gotta say no, and I think this is one of these times that Ricky has to say no anyway. And when however council votes, I'll back it up 100%. If I'm outvoted, I'll back it 100%. But anyway, that's just how I feel tonight. And, you know, good luck to everybody.
Well, I like your idea about having them do the research and seeing how much everything would cost this year, and then coming back and talking about again perhaps next month. Is there a certain date that you could have those figures for us from Dream?
What it does is if council decides to give approval, it allows them to begin to negotiate all of the contracts that they have to put this in place and get the prices in line. It gives council until the end of September, at which we can hold a special meeting at any time we want to say, yes, we're going ahead, or I guess you'd be having the meeting to say, no, we're not going to do it, because we would have given approval to move forward with the understanding that we can cancel that prior to October 1st.
Councilman Jenkins, this is essentially how we proceeded last year.
Correct.
Last year, the overwhelming concern was COVID. And so we gave a preliminary authorization to Dream to begin the process of negotiating the contracts, but it was well understood there was a drop dead date that Dream could cancel with vendors, and that we would have the ability, as you say, through a special meeting to pull the plug on the project.
Correct.
Well, I can withdraw my motion that I made earlier if what you just said, you could put that in a motion.
Well, I think the simple motion is to send this to full, doesn't this have to go to full council?
It does not.
It does not?
Not just
Uh,
asking them to do that.
It does not have to go to full council?
It does not. We are spending money. If it has to go to full council, because this is a committee of the whole, what the ordinance says is that any financial or budgetary matters that do not require an ordinance can be handled by this committee. So to pass a budget or to amend a budget, it has to go to full council. This committee can authorize this expenditure. You have to identify a source, though. And so I don't know if we're ready to do that. My understanding is that from previous 2 years, it came from the local hat tax fund balance, which I don't believe affects our budget. I agree completely with Mayor Waring's concerns about our budget. I voted against it. It was a terrible idea to pass a budget without an audit, but that's blood under the bridge.
I think at this time, with Lisa not being here, we need to wait, put it off until she gets back, because I'm not sure where we are with the hat tax balance.
I was reading an email from Lisa Wallace. That's where I got the 2.45 million. She sent the email on Wednesday of last week.
But did she tell you how much of that was allocated, Bill?
Zero. It's the fund balance.
Dan, does that sound right to you?
Yeah. That's correct.
And none of that's allocated? Okay, y'all do what you want to do.
Well,
We never have
I don't
passed
think
anything- we never have passed anything at this meeting since I've been mayor, the last year and a half.
I don't think we, regardless of what the rules and regulations say we can or cannot do, I think what we can do is we can say we're not going to take action on this tonight, that we're going to move it to the council meeting Thursday night to give people a chance to get more information. And if we decide at that council meeting that we need to wait until Lisa gets back to get a better understanding of balances, and have a special council meeting to take that meeting, we can do that. I don't think delaying this another week or 10 days is critical to the process of beginning discussions. So that's.
I agree.
I don't have any problem putting this off a little further. I am concerned with what Bob said about the Parks Department basically being shut down during that time, or at least the portion of it that would be working on the new parks. And there may be other town departments like the police department that are impacted also. So I'd like to get all that information in some specific form before making a final decision on it. So I'm not disagreeing with Terry to go ahead and tentatively approve it with the clear understanding that we may very well not follow through with it.
Well, to make clear what I'm saying, earlier I said that's how the process worked last year. I think we're better off delaying making a decision on this today and take it to Thursday night and decide whether or not we're going to make a decision on it Thursday night or not.
If that's your motion, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we hold off on voting on this until Thursday night. All in favor, signify by saying, raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
Discussion of federal national procurement pre-bid contracts for government agencies.
Have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we allow staff to use the federal national procurement as they do the state.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
I guess if we could get Dan or Amy to discuss the benefits of this. Or you can go together.
Does it affect all departments?
Yes, sir. Yeah, in the
Well, I mean,
email,
when
the
you
police
say-
department, everybody can use it. And apparently, it may have been used in the past. It's just never been approved.
Yeah, I confess, I didn't do a lot of research on this. I know this is something that Amy wanted to pursue. I think by and large, it opens up another avenue for procurement. And from that perspective, I don't see a downside to another option to get us the most competitive price.
And it's not something they have to use, but they can go to this and say, what's the price? And if the price is lower than the state, they can take it. And the bidding process has already happened. So these are approved as basically being bid things. And it opens us up to products, with fire trucks and police and public works nationally.
Okay.
Much like the state bid list. So it's just another option. We don't have to use it, but it's an option. Any other questions or?
Yeah, one question, just, I think I know the answer, but Daniel, is if we go this route, is there any cost associated with it? Does it cost the town anything?
I can't answer that for sure. I'd have to look into that. I can get back to you on that.
Bob, do you know?
Amy, I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
There's no cost. So it seems to be very positive then if it's not going to cost us anything and allows our major departments to save money. I mean, this is the first I've heard of it. I don't know about the rest of the council members, whether they need more information or not, but I mean, it's not going to cost us anything. It might save us some money.
It can't hurt us.
Thank you, Dan. Is there any other department heads out there that may use it? Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carry.
Approval of a requisition to award the Wassamasaw Park Trail resurfacing project to True Luck Construction Incorporated in the amount of $58,875, pending receipt of funding from HUD and the successful completion of an environmental review assessment by Civitas. This project was publicly advertised and sealed bids were collected. The funds to come from Community Development Block Grant.
Motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a question. I think we're talking about the Wassamasaw Park resurfacing of the walk around the park.
No, this was it. That's the last page.
Amy, that's what we're talking about, right? Okay. And yeah, I think that's something that might be a good thing for us to do.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carry.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to Dick Smith Ford in the amount of $63,414 for a Ford F-450 crew cab truck. The request is from the Stormwater Department and funds to come from budgeted stormwater capital for vehicles.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we do that, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. We buy this truck for the Stormwater Department. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carry.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to Dick Smith Ford in the amount of $47,282 for a Ford F-250 Crew Cab Truck, the request from the Stormwater Department, funds to come from budgeted stormwater capital for vehicles.
I make a motion that we approve this, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any
Mayor,
discussion?
Not too late, is, since the first four are actually for stormwater and all that comes from budget funds from stormwater, it would appear to me that we could approve all these.
Yeah.
Next two along with this.
Yeah.
Once read by Ms. Beth. That's agreeable.
Fine with me.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to Steen Enterprises in the amount of $57,027.93 for a Kubota KX40 mini excavator. Request from the Stormwater Department, funds to come from budgeted stormwater capital equipment, and this is on a state contract. And number 4, authorization to issue a purchase order to Steen Enterprises in the amount of $7,874.32 for a PJ tilt deck trailer for the mini excavator. Request from Stormwater Department, funds to come from budgeted stormwater capital for equipment.
I guess I'll make a motion that we approve items 2, 3, and 4 under financial requisitions.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of this, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
Authorization to issue a change order to Sea Island Land Development LLC in the amount of $31,782.56 for the Germantown Stormwater Pond Project. Funds to come from Stormwater Fund.
I'll make that motion that we approve it.
I'll second it.
Can we get some information on what this is for?
This is the pond over on Germantown Road, Shepherd Street. We calculated the volume of dirt coming out of that pond. We didn't put a big enough swell factor. So what that is the volume in place is going to increase when you dig it out, put it in a truck. And it's not as compact. We estimated 15% swell factor. It should have been about a 20% swell factor. It was 35,000 cubic yards was what we thought would be, and it came out 2,300 yards more than that.
So just kind of as an aside, I mean, this is a $30,000 change order based on that issue. What percentage is the project from being finished?
The pond is done. So the next step would be Stormwater Department will go in starting early September and install the pipes to make the pond functioning again.
So this is a change order after the approval of authorization of a change order after the work's been done.
Yes.
And Russ, with that, what is still left to be done there in terms of potentially fences, paths, or safety things that are there? What's left to be done for that piece of property to be complete?
I'm not sure there's not much that can be done. I've talked to Amy about this recently, and I think the idea is to put a trail around the perimeter of the pond, maybe some benches, small parking area. We do want to get an aerator in the pond once it's functioning to keep the mosquitoes controlled somehow.
Right.
But the biggest portion left is to get the pipe installed to get the pond functioning, so it protects that area from flooding.
And is there a fence or?
I don't know if there's a fence in the plan yet. We haven't. I think there's a fence planned along where the property owner, where the backyards back up on President Circle. I think there was a fence planned there, but I don't know if there's a fence around the perimeter planned.
Russ, what's the slope on the pond from the edge?
It's a 3-to-1 slope, so someone can crawl out of the pond or walk up the slope. It's not so steep where you can't crawl out of it. Okay. We are trying to. There's a good stand of grass on it now, so to limit the erosion. So, but it is, someone can walk or crawl out of that pond. And it's only about 4.5 feet deep at the deepest in the middle.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Russ, when is your proposed completion date for this?
So the stormwater department, on the stormwater side, I can speak to, is gonna start sawing the pipe early September, and that'll take them probably about 6 weeks to do. So we're looking at mid-October before everything is in place and functioning.
Thank you.
But they're doing Waring Street, and then after Waring Street's done, to go over to to start on this.
Anybody got any more questions for Russ? You got a motion? Huh? You got a motion and a second? Okay. All in favor, say, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Bill opposes. Okay, Russ, while you up there, let me ask you a question concerning drainage. That project that you stopped on Germantown Road, how come they hadn't never started back?
Because
I know they probably hadn't done what you told them.
they haven't done what.
That's an easy answer.
Yes, sir.
But what can you do in the meantime? Can you fine them or do something?
Well, we stopped them, and it's cost them a good bit of money, and I'm not working. The problem was they got approval to put a pond in the corner, like Mr. Millhouse said earlier, and what they didn't do is take into account of the grand tree they were going to impact by digging that pond. So that they didn't get permit to demolish or damage that tree. That got realized after the fact. They were working on the site, grading the site, but they weren't following their sequence of events. Typically, the first thing you do on a site is install your stormwater, your ponds to protect the runoff. Then you build your roads and pads and everything. They didn't do that, so that brought attention to it. That it's basically stopped until they can figure out they have to redesign their pond to accommodate that tree, or just redesign the entire drainage on that site. We don't know what we kind of left it to them on figured out their solution. I think the tree committee meets September 7th to talk about that tree, if they'll allow them to cut it or not. But that's why.
Yeah. So a tree is actually holding up the project right now?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion, we cut the tree.
Yeah, you don't lie. That's a messed up deal over there. I mean, because I think that's part of Tillman's property now. When we do get a flood, he's getting dirt from over there.
They do have silt fence, and they've actually installed additional silt fence to help that problem. But there's a lot of water coming off the site.
Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate it. You explained it to me. I go by there every day, but I see nothing's changed, so.
The owner really wants to get started, but we're holding his feet to the fire till he gets a good plan.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's see where we at.
Authorization to surplus the following police department vehicles. Number 206, a 2010 Dodge Charger, 231, a 2012 Dodge Charger, 249, a 2013 Dodge Charger, 265, a 2014 Dodge Charger, and 340, a 2008 Chevy Tahoe.
I make this motion, Mr. Mayor, surplus these.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second that we sell these vehicles. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed likewise? Ayes carried. All right, Chief Wright, you ready?
Obviously, there are such things as technical glitches, and unfortunately, that's what we're facing this evening. So the video was complete. We viewed it as far as the Dignity Project did, and for some reason, when it was exported over via Dropbox, the audio is not proper on it. So I would not like to show that video to you because I would want to show something that's a complete product. So if it would please counsel, I'd like to read what they asked me to read, and then I will email everybody the link for the video. That way you can watch it before Thursday's meeting, if that'll please everyone.
Fine.
That's fine.
Thank you. I would like to say that the Dignity Project is actually all watching don't know if we are, but they are following this intensely. They're very excited about what they've been doing with the police department. We've been collaborating with Coastal Crisis Chaplaincy now for over a year. This began as a grassroots effort after the George Floyd murder in Minneapolis, when the community and chaplaincy program came together and decided that they wanted to team up with our agency. And I'm going to read what they've asked me to read. Keep in mind, I did not write this. This was sent to me today by Chaplain Rich Robinson. On behalf of the Somerville Dignity Project team, it's an honor to serve the community through such amazing grassroots project and diverse community members and the police officers with a Heart Community Police partnership. The team is a diverse group of individuals, business leaders, clergy, and social justice-minded community members that has done the hard work of having deep conversations to create detailed collaborations. The Dignity Project video you are about to view, which you are not, is a testimony to the transparency of the community gathered input, team discussions through diverse perspectives, and our dedication to a 14 chosen pillars of building relationships between the police and community, developing empathy through sharing perspectives and deep listening and core values, mutual education through the developed video promoting positive police interactions, and community engagement through the future of community events, walks, talks, to share the message and to work with the Dignity Project. The project is community led to empower the community to partner with the police for progress. Somerville Police, under the partnership of Chief Doug Wright and his team, has truly served the leading edge of the intersection of policing and dignity. Our community is blessed by the participation, partnership, and progress towards a new day of policing in the community and the shared progress. So the video we created, we came together and it's one of first installment of videos that the Dignity Project has come up with, and Councilman Brown has been a part of that, just kind of stepping in with some of the Dignity Project members. And basically what we wanted to show was the perspective of what a violator or a vehicle that is stopped by law enforcement, what might be going through their head subliminally, and then what is going through the mind of the police officer as well at the same time. And we're hoping by this video that we've created in collaboration with them and our social media team, that it's going to show people that we are human beings as well, just like the people we stop, and that we all have the same values at the end of the day. We all want to go home safe to our families. So it's a really well done video. I think you guys will enjoy it when you see it. The Dignity Project has been something that's been amazing for me personally and professionally to have been able to partake in. We meet every 2 weeks via Zoom, but we discuss very serious issues that are happening, not just in our community, but nationwide, and the problems that law enforcement is facing, but also what communities are facing right now from what they perceive or perceive or misperceive as law enforcement injustice. So this is an outstanding collaboration with people from our community. Just last month, members of the Hispanic community teamed up with the Dignity Project, and they actually walked some of the neighborhoods over in Councilman Brown's area. I think we're going to be making our way around to some other communities throughout Somerville. That's their future plan. We've had a couple of events where we've had our ice cream truck, different things out at Wausau Park. So we're really trying to break down the barriers between law enforcement and the community so they better understand that we're human beings just like they are, and that we have the same likes, desires, and we want to enjoy our communities, but we want them to be safe at the same time.
Certainly, Doug. I appreciate your effort. You guys are great. You're doing a great job. We continually get national, state, and local accolades about your department and what you're doing. The Dignity Project is composed of some of the very best people here in the town. You got people with PhDs. We've got people with ministerial degrees, and they're from all races and creeds, and they're working together. I simply didn't want the Dignity Project to publicize something to the public that council had not seen. So this is how this came about. Not that he needed to be critiqued on what they're doing, but I thought it was a good idea for council to see it. So once the council you can look at it individually, then they'll go ahead and publicize it to the public.
I appreciate
and
that.
If you have any critique or things that you need to get to his attention, once you see the video, just let him know.
I appreciate that, Councilman Brown, and Beth, I apologize for the technical difficulties. He's been working on this all evening with me, but one of the main things I want to make sure I mention is if and when, Lord forbid, there is a critical incident involving law enforcement here in our communities, whether it be police-sided or community-sided, these stakeholders will be standing beside us and behind us, whether we did right or we did wrong, and whether other people did right or did wrong. This collaboration is something that's hopefully going to be long-standing. It's going to be identified and profiled in the IACP video that you all approved for the National Chiefs of Police Association as a staple and a cornerstone of what law enforcement probably should be doing or looking at doing around the country.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, anybody got anything they want to talk about as far as the upcoming council agenda items? Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
damn, y'all quick with that. All in favor, signify by raising